Precious Williams stood in the rain outside the gates of her own mansion, her designer dress soaked through, her bare feet bleeding on the gravel driveway. The security guards, men who had bowed to her just weeks ago, now blocked her path with crossed arms. "Please," she begged, her voice breaking. "This is my home. My father built this house. Let me in." "Not anymore," the head guard said coldly. "Mr. Chen owns this property now. You have no business here." Behind the iron gates, Precious could see her bedroom window. The balcony where she'd sipped champagne and laughed at people struggling in the streets below. The driveway where 7 luxury cars once sat. All hers, all gone now. She had lost everything. The mansions, the cars, the money, the friends, the respect. 3 months ago, she was Precious Williams, daughter of billionaire Chief Williams, the most powerful man in Lagos. She had never worked a day in her life, never cooked a meal, never cleaned a floor, never felt the sting of rejection or the weight of struggle. Now she was nobody, homeless, penniless, alone. And it was all because of what her father's will revealed, a truth so shocking, so devastating, that it destroyed everything she thought she knew about herself and her life. If powerful stories like this move you, please hit subscribe. And tell us where you're watching from. I love seeing our global family in the comments. Alright, back to how this nightmare began. 6 months earlier, Lagos gleamed with possibility for those who had money. And nobody had more money than the Williams family. Precious Williams woke up in her king-sized bed, imported from Italy, silk sheets, air conditioning set to perfect temperature, and pressed the button on her nightstand. Within seconds, 3 maids rushed into her room. "Good morning, Miss Precious." "What would you like for breakfast, Miss Precious?" "Shall we prepare your bath, Miss Precious?" Precious yawned, stretching like a lazy cat. "I want French toast with berries. Fresh squeezed orange juice. And yes, run my bath. Use the lavender oils today." She was 25 years old and had never once prepared her own meal. Why would she? That's what poor people did. Her father, Chief Williams, was one of Nigeria's wealthiest men. Oil, real estate, technology, shipping. He owned pieces of everything. And Precious, his only child since her mother died in childbirth, was the center of his universe. Whatever Precious wanted, Precious got. Her phone buzzed with messages from her friends, other rich kids who spent their days shopping, partying, and posting photos on social media. "Jennifer *** beach party tonight at Eco Hotel. You coming? Michael *** my dad got me another Range Rover. Let's race on the expressway ***. This was her life. This was her world. Downstairs, breakfast was served alone. Her father was already at work. He was always at work. "Miss Precious," the butler approached carefully. "Your father called. He wants to see you at his office this afternoon." Precious waved her hand dismissively. "Tell him I'm busy. I have shopping plans." "He said it was important, Mississippi." "Everything is always important to him," Precious muttered. "Fine. I'll go. But only for a few minutes." She had no idea that this meeting would change everything. Chief Williams's office occupied the entire top floor of the tallest building in Victoria Island. When Precious walked in that afternoon, 3 hours late, she found her father looking older than usual. Tired. Almost worried. "Precious," he said, his voice heavy. "Sit down." "Daddy, I can't stay long. Jennifer and I are going to—" "Sit down." Something in his tone made her obey. Chief Williams stared at his daughter for a long moment. "What do you do with your days, Precious?" "What do you mean?" I live my life. I enjoy myself. You spend money. My money. But what do you do? Precious frowned. I don't understand what you're asking. That's the problem, her father sighed. I came from nothing, Precious. Nothing. I grew up in a village with no electricity, no running water. I walked 5 miles to school every day with holes in my shoes. I built this empire with my own hands. I know the story, Daddy, Precious said impatiently. But you don't know it, he turned to face her. You've never experienced struggle. You've never been told no. You've never had to work for anything. And that's my fault. Precious stood up, offended. That's not fair. I'm your daughter. You represent excess and waste, he said quietly. Do you know how much you spent last month? 2 million naira. On what? Shoes. Bags. Parties. So, you want me to feel guilty for being rich? Chief Williams shook his head sadly. I want you to understand. I want you to have empathy. I want you to know the value of work. Why are you saying all this? Precious demanded. Why now? Her father's face grew somber. Because I'm sick, Precious. Very sick. The doctors say I have maybe a year left. The world stopped spinning. Precious's legs went weak. What? Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. There's nothing they can do. But you can't. Daddy, you can get the best doctors. Some things money can't fix, he said gently. When I die, everything changes. I've made arrangements. You'll understand when the time comes. Precious left her father's office with a heavy heart, but still not truly understanding what he meant. She was about to find out. 3 months later, Chief Williams died. The funeral was massive. Politicians came. Business leaders came. Everyone who had ever benefited from Chief Williams's wealth showed up to pay their respects. The answer came 1 week later, at the reading of the will. Mr. Johnson, the family lawyer, cleared his throat and began to read. To my beloved daughter, Precious Williams, I leave the following. Everyone in the room held their breath. 1,000 naira, the clothes on her back, and a letter to be read privately. Silence. Then chaos. What? Precious shrieked. That's impossible. Mr. Johnson continued calmly. The remainder of my estate will be placed in a trust. Precious may access this trust only under the following conditions. She must live and work in my home village of Umwada for 1 full year, supporting herself through her own labor. If she completes this year successfully, as determined by the village elders, the full estate will be transferred to her. If she refuses or fails, the entire estate will be donated to charity. The room erupted. Precious couldn't breathe. My daughter has lived in privilege without understanding, in wealth without wisdom. This is my final gift to her, the chance to become a complete human being. Precious stumbled out, her mind spinning. Her friends Jennifer and Michael followed her. Don't worry, Jennifer said. You'll fight this. You can't possibly go live in some village, Michael added. But deep down, Precious knew. Her father had planned this carefully. There would be no fighting it. Either she went to the village or she lost everything. The next 48 hours were a nightmare. Precious tried calling everyone her father knew. Business partners, politicians, family friends. Everyone said the same thing. We can't go against his wishes. Her so-called friends disappeared even faster. Jennifer stopped answering her calls. Michael sent a brief text. Sorry. You're broke now. Can't be seen with you. Within days, Precious was evicted from the mansion. The bank accounts were frozen. The credit cards stopped working. She tried staying in hotels, but without money, she was turned away. For the first time in her life, Precious experienced hunger. Real hunger. She slept on a bench in a park. People walked past her, some recognizing the famous billionaire's daughter, most just seeing another homeless person. On the third night, shivering in the Lagos rain, Precious finally opened the letter her father had left her. My dearest Precious, asterisk if you're reading this, you've hit rock bottom.
I'm sorry.
But it's the greatest love I can show you. Asterisk. I gave you everything except what matters most. Character, resilience, empathy, and purpose. Asterisk go to Amwata. Meet Mama Rose at the village square. She's expecting you. She was my childhood teacher, and the wisest person I ever knew. Asterisk. Asterisk this year will be the hardest of your life. But if you persist, you'll discover who you truly are. Asterisk. I love you more than you'll ever know. Your father. Precious cried until she had no tears left. Then she made her decision. She would go to the village. Not because she wanted to, but because she had nowhere else to go. The journey to Amwata took 2 days. Precious, who had once traveled in private jets, now rode in crowded buses. She walked for miles when she ran out of money. Her designer shoes fell apart. Her expensive dress became torn and dirty. When she finally arrived in Amwata, she barely recognized herself. Hair tangled, face gaunt, clothes ruined. The village was nothing like Lagos. Dirt roads, simple houses, chickens roaming freely, children playing with sticks. Precious stood in the village square, completely lost. Are you Precious? A gentle voice asked. Precious turned to see an elderly woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. She wore a simple wrapper and headscarf. I'm Mama Rose. Your father told me you might come. Precious's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to live like this. Mama Rose took her hand. Then it's time to learn. Mama Rose led Precious to a small house. A simple 2-room structure with a zinc roof, no electricity, no running water. This is where you'll stay, Mama Rose said. Precious stared in horror. The room was tiny. A thin mat on the floor. A bucket for water. Nothing else. I can't, this is impossible. Your father grew up in a house smaller than this, Mama Rose said quietly.
He survived. So can you.
The next morning, Mama Rose woke her before sunrise. Time for work. Work. You'll help me at the farm today. Everyone works here, Precious. The farm was a plot of land where cassava and yams grew. Mama Rose handed Precious a hoe. We need to weed this section. Precious stared at the tool like it was a foreign object. I don't know how. I'll teach you. For the next 6 hours, Precious bent over crops under the blazing sun, pulling weeds, her hands blistering, her back screaming in pain. She wanted to quit 1,000 times. But Mama Rose worked beside her, never complaining, singing old songs. When they stopped for lunch, Mama Rose brought out boiled yam and palm oil with a little fish. Precious had eaten in 5-star restaurants all over the world. But nothing had ever tasted as good as that simple meal after 6 hours of hard labor. You did well today, Mama Rose said. I did terribly, Precious said, looking at her bleeding palms. You showed up. You tried. That's how transformation begins, one painful step at a time. The first month was torture. Precious's body wasn't built for physical labor. Every muscle ached. Her hands became rough and calloused. She had to learn everything from scratch. How to fetch water from the well. How to start a fire for cooking. How to wash clothes by hand. The villagers watched her with curiosity and skepticism. They knew who she was, the rich man's spoiled daughter. One day, Carrying water, Precious's bucket slipped and spilled everywhere. She sat in the dirt and cried. A young woman named Ruth approached her. She was maybe 20 years old, carrying 2 heavy buckets effortlessly. "Let me show you," Ruth said kindly. "You're holding it wrong." "I can't," Precious sobbed. "I'm useless." Ruth sat beside her. "My mother tells a story. She says, the tree doesn't grow strong in calm weather. It grows strong in the storm. You're in your storm now, Precious." Over the following weeks, Ruth became Precious's friend and teacher. She showed Precious how to cook over an open fire, how to sweep with a broom made of straw, how to bargain at the market. "Why are you being nice to me?" Precious asked. "Everyone knows I was spoiled and useless." Ruth smiled. "Because Mama Rose asked me to help you. And because I see something in you that you don't see yet." "What's that?" "A good heart that's finally learning to open." Slowly, painfully, Precious began to change. She learned that work brought satisfaction. She learned that simple meals tasted better than fancy restaurants. She learned that conversations with villagers were more meaningful than shallow party gossip. One evening, as they sat outside watching the sunset, Mama Rose told her a story. "Your father and I were in the same class as children. He was brilliant but poor. His family could barely afford his school fees. Do you know why he succeeded? Because he was smart? Many people are smart. Your father succeeded because he understood something. Wealth isn't about how much you have. It's about how much you give. Every time he made money, he shared it. He built schools. He funded hospitals. That's why people respected him, not because he was rich, but because he remembered where he came from." Precious felt ashamed. "I never appreciated any of that. I just spent his money on stupid things." "But you're learning now. That's what matters." 3 months in, real challenges emerged. A delegation from Lagos arrived, her father's former business partners. "Precious," they said, "drop this ridiculous village challenge. We'll fight your father's will in court. You'll get at least half the estate." It was tempting. So tempting. Half the estate was still billions. Precious looked around at the simple village. At Mama Rose. At Ruth. At the children who now waved to her every morning. "No," she said quietly.
"I'm staying."
The businessmen laughed. "You're choosing poverty over billions? You're crazy." After they left, Mama Rose asked, "Why did you refuse?" "Because for the first time in my life, I'm learning who I really am. And I'm not ready to stop." The second obstacle was harder. A terrible storm hit the village, destroying crops and flooding homes. The entire community was in crisis. Food supplies ran low. Children went hungry. Precious watched in anguish. She had billions sitting in trust funds, but she couldn't access a single naira. Or was she helpless? One evening, she had an idea. She called a meeting in the village square. "I may not have money right now," she announced, "but I know people who do. I'm going to write letters to every wealthy person my father knew, to newspapers, to anyone who will listen." The villagers looked skeptical, but Precious spent the next week writing. She used the village's only internet connection to send emails. And slowly, miraculously, help arrived. Companies sent food supplies. NGOs sent building materials. The village began to recover. "You did this," Ruth said, amazed.
"No," Precious replied.
"The community saved itself. I just connected you to resources."
But it was more than that.
Precious had finally used her privilege to help others instead of just herself. Mama Rose watched with tears in her eyes. "Your father would be so proud." Month 10 brought the ultimate challenge. Mama Rose fell seriously ill. Malaria complicated by pneumonia. She needed to go to the hospital in the city, but the village had no ambulance. Precious panicked. "We need to get her help now." "We have no vehicle," the village chief said sadly. Precious looked at Mama Rose, weak and feverish, barely conscious. This woman who had taught her everything, who had believed in her. She couldn't lose her. Precious made a decision. She pulled out the one thing of value she still owned, a diamond bracelet her father had given her for her 18th birthday. She had hidden it, refusing to sell it even in her darkest moments. "Take this," she told the village chief. "Sell it. Get an ambulance. Get the best doctors. Whatever it costs." "Precious," Ruth protested. "That's probably worth millions." "I don't care," Precious cried. "Mama Rose is worth more than any jewelry. She's the person who saved my life. Now I'm saving hers." The bracelet was sold. An ambulance came. Mama Rose was rushed to the hospital where she received excellent care. Precious stayed by her bedside for 2 weeks, sleeping in a chair, holding her hand. "Please," she whispered, "please don't take her from me." Finally, Mama Rose opened her eyes. "Precious." Her voice was weak but steady. "I'm here." Precious sobbed with relief. Mama Rose smiled. "You sold your bracelet." "Of course I did. Your father gave you that bracelet. And you gave me something more valuable. You gave me a new life. A real life." Mama Rose squeezed her hand. "You've passed the test, my child. You've learned that people matter more than things. That love matters more than money." Precious wept. "I was so lost, so empty. I thought I had everything, but I had nothing. And now I have so little, but I feel so rich." Month 12 arrived. The village elders gathered to make their decision. Finally, they called Precious before them. "We have reached our conclusion," the chief elder announced. "Precious Williams, when you arrived here, you were a spoiled, entitled, helpless woman. You knew nothing of work, nothing of struggle, nothing of community." Precious's heart pounded. "But over this year, we have watched you transform. We have seen you struggle and persist.
We have seen you learn and grow.
We have seen you give sacrificially to help others. Most importantly, we have seen your heart change." The elders smiled. "You have not just completed your father's challenge. You have exceeded it. Your father's estate is yours, but more importantly, you have earned wisdom. You have earned character. You have become the daughter your father always hoped you would be." Precious didn't feel the joy she expected. Instead, she felt peace. Deep, genuine peace. "Thank you," she said. "But I need to tell you something. I'm not going back to Lagos. Not permanently." Everyone looked shocked. "The estate can continue to be managed by the board," Precious continued. "I'll use the resources to help communities like this one, to build schools, to fund hospitals. But my home is here now. Umwada is where I belong." Mama Rose, now fully recovered, came forward and embraced her. "Your father knew," she whispered. "He knew that once you discovered the richness of real community, real purpose, real love, you would never want to leave it." Ruth hugged her next. "You're staying? Really?" "Really." Precious laughed through her tears. "Where else would I go? Everything I need is right here." 2 years later, Precious stood in the same village square where she had first arrived, broken and desperate. But everything was different now. Using her inheritance wisely, she had built a school, a medical clinic, and a community center. She had funded small businesses. She had created jobs. She had brought opportunity. But she hadn't done it from Lagos in an air-conditioned office. She had done it here, living among the people, working alongside them. She still lived in the simple house. She still worked in the fields sometimes. She still fetched water and cooked simple meals. But now, she did it all with joy, with purpose, with gratitude. One afternoon, as she taught a class of village children, a little girl asked, "Teacher Precious, is it true you used to be very rich?" Precious smiled. "I thought I was rich. I had lots of money. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled." And now another child asked. Precious looked around the classroom, at the eager faces, at the simple walls, at the community she had come to love. "Now I understand what my father tried to teach me. Real wealth isn't measured in bank accounts or possessions. Real wealth is measured in relationships, in purpose, in the impact you have on others' lives." She picked up chalk and wrote on the blackboard, "The richest person is not the one who is the most, but the one who needs the least and gives the most." "My father left me billions," Precious told the children. "But the greatest inheritance he gave me was the opportunity to lose everything, so I could discover what really matters." That evening, sitting outside with Mama Rose, watching the sunset, Precious reflected on her journey. "I thought my father's was cruel," she said. "I thought he was punishing me. And now," Mama Rose asked, "now I understand it was the greatest act of love. He could have left me money and condemned me to a shallow existence. Instead, he gave me the gift of transformation." Mama Rose nodded wisely. A parent's job is not to make the path smooth for their child, but to prepare the child for the rough path. Your father prepared you. "I want to help other young people understand this," Precious said, "through teaching them the value of work, of community, of giving." "Then that's your mission now," Mama Rose said. "Your father built an empire of business. You're building an empire of impact." Precious smiled, knowing the answer. As darkness fell and stars began to appear, Precious whispered a prayer of gratitude to her father.
"Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you for loving me enough to let me fall. Thank you for the hardest year of my life. Thank you for showing me that the greatest gift isn't what you leave to your children, but what you leave in your children." And in that moment, Precious Williams, once a spoiled billionaire's daughter who had everything and nothing, finally understood true wealth, true purpose, and true joy. The greatest inheritance is not money or property, but character forged through struggle, wisdom earned through experience, and love expressed through sacrifice. What you are is always more valuable than what you have. For possessions can be lost in a moment, but who you become, the person you build through challenges and choices, that wealth can never be taken away. Asterisk. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to discover what really matters. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Thank you for watching till the end.